Hello, Secret Keepers. Dr. Don Clum here. I want to thank everybody who was on our last live on Facebook. I appreciate you being there. It was a great exchange with some great information, but I didn't put up my slides. I wasn't able to use them. So I want to go through some of them now because I think it's a better process to learn as you see and see as you learn with some of these particular topics. So here we go. The way to avoid insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes is the same way that we have successfully reversed it with hundreds, if not thousands of people to date. And that's no lie. We have done this with thousands of people on different levels, population health levels, one-on-one, you name it. And all the different strategies that I bring you, they're legit. They are validated. They're backed by meta-analysis and updated every year. Some of them are already in the standard of care. The fact that it hasn't gotten to maybe your doctor or to a more understanding level in our society, I don't have an answer for that. But they're out there. I don't go off on fringe. When I do go off on fringe, you'll know it, and I'll tell you. All right? So remember, you can reverse insulin resistance. You can. You totally can. Completely. And you can reverse type 2 diabetes. Completely. But you can't do it with blood sugar. You can't do it by just lowering blood sugar. If you just lower blood sugar, it will not reverse. You still have the problem. But now you have it with lower blood sugar. So if you ever got that false sense of security from somebody that said, hey, look, you lost weight, your numbers are better for blood sugar, you're reversed, you got to question that. It doesn't mean you're not. You could very well have. But if you don't test and you don't know what the parameters are, you might not know. And then you're still going down that road and don't even know it. Don't want that for you. So let's go through the 4 things. The 4 changes required for insulin resistance to reverse, for reversal. That's a true physiological change. 4 of them have to happen. Okay? Number 1, you have to return that pancreas to its normal state or near normal. You have to restore the pancreatic beta cell, the cells that make insulin, hold insulin, control the in and out. You have to make that cell volume come back and that insulin response to return. It's through a process called differentiation, which I'll go into in another video. But for now, you literally have to watch those cells come back. They don't actually die in most cases, which is great news. They look like they go dormant when you look at on scan in a microscope. That's why they thought they would die. That's why they told people for years that you've killed those cells. You haven't. They change. They can change back. They can change back, and they do. And that's what happens in a reversal. But you have to know how to do it, and you have to know how to test it to make sure it's done. Okay? You have to clear out the fat from the organs like the liver and the pancreas. It's called ectopic fat. It's fat that's not supposed to be there. Think of big gears in a machine, a very fancy, powerful, sophisticated machine, and someone just threw dirty, gooky oil, grease, gook into it, and it doesn't run as well. It has to run harder and hotter, and it just is not as efficient. It needs more work and is more likely to break down. That's what happens with this fat in our liver, in our pancreas. The fat in the liver is the reason why the blood sugar starts to go off in the first place, right? That's damage going on in there. And when you start to remove just some of that liver fat, the numbers come down really quickly, but you haven't changed the rest. That can give you that false sense of security, right? You don't want that. Next, you have to repair or regenerate the workers, the storage carriers that move the energy units in and out of their storage. So, for example, it's muscle cells and liver cells. They have glycogen. Glycogen is like starch in a vegetable, like a potato, right? These are our potatoes. All a starch is a lot of glucose molecules stuck together. That's it. And so in our body, it's called glycogen, all right? And it's like pockets. We have pockets in our liver, pockets in our muscles, so that we can take in and out sugar when needed. That's very, very important. And when in type 2 diabetes, advanced stage insulin resistance, 80% of those carriers are not working. They are just kaput. They've been beaten, whipped for a long time, and they will not work anymore. That's a big part of the problem. They have to come back, or we have to get new workers in there so that they can move that energy in and out, the sugar in and out from our bloodstream to our glycogen for quick release, from our bloodstream to fat and out of fat as well. That's part of the reason why people have trouble losing weight, is because those workers can't get it out of the fat, right? It's a problem. So we need that both directions going again. And you have to do that, otherwise you won't reverse this problem. Number 4, you have to increase your glycogen capacity. Glycogen, mainly I'm talking about your muscles, okay? they play a huge role in our metabolic health in general. Now, for a muscle to be healthy, to be fit, it needs two main things. It needs an engine, and it needs a gas tank. Okay? Gas tank feeds the engine. The engines in our muscle are called mitochondria. They are the big movers in our metabolism. When we talk about metabolic rate, it's how well are they working? How are our engines pumping when we're moving and not moving? Okay? That's what it is. We need bigger engines. And you get bigger engines by physical activity, mainly intensity work, which we talk about all the time. And once those engines start to get bigger, then you're going to need more gas, more engines, right? So the body will start to form new pockets of glycogen. The difference between someone completely sedentary and a competitive athlete can vary 4,000% in their ability to store that glycogen. That's a lot of glycogen that someone doesn't have or someone does have. We're probably somewhere in the middle, but that's still 2,000% difference. We have to increase that capacity because that becomes our first round buffer for the blood sugar and for other mechanisms in this process. And if you don't have it, then it goes right to the liver. And that's how the liver gets fat again. It gets gook in that machinery. We don't want that. So we need to restore the pancreas to normal volume, get those cells back, and get the control back. We need to get the carriers that move the energy in and out of storage, short-term in glycogen, long-term in body fat, to be working fluidly back and forth. We need to get them back on the job. Okay? You can't work with 20% of your labor force. It doesn't work that way. And then we have to clear the fat out of, I skipped one, but it cleared the fat out of the pancreas and the liver because it's gooking up the works. And then we have to get better glycogen storage capacity and moving capacity. All right. Those four things physiologically, which you can test, which you can see, and you can feel overall, are what's needed to say you have reversed your diabetes. To be able for me to say to someone, hey, Mrs. Jones, you've been struggling with diabetes for 15 years. It's not been easy. You've had your issues. We've been working together a while. Now I can tell you that's behind you. You get to start something new. We never go back to where we were. We don't want to. We get to start something new. And now you get to start it without diabetes. Here's how you do it. Here's how you stay away from that trap again, right? Because you can always go back. You can always fall in a trap you fell in before. Again, you're not immune. And you might be more susceptible to do so because of the habits and everything that happened before. We don't want that. But at that point in time, I can look someone in the eye and I can say, you have reversed your diabetes. If I just use blood sugar or even A1C, I couldn't say that. I wouldn't know that. What if their blood sugar, and it happens all the time. There's huge data sets on this. You can force blood sugar down, even into normal ranges when it's high. But it doesn't change the disease process. The pathology continues just with better numbers. They still get amputations. They still go blind. They still have years cut off their life. It's terrible. Could you imagine if that was you? You think you did everything right. Maybe you made a lot of effort. Maybe you even lost some weight. You changed your numbers, but you're not out of that problem. It's still there. And you don't know it. I think that's terrible. I would not want that for anybody, especially when they work hard to get to where they got. That's trouble. So those are the four main things in the body that have to change if you want to achieve reversal of insulin resistance and everything downstream. So we're talking metabolic syndrome, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes. That's what has to change. If it doesn't, you don't reverse. All right. I hope that helps. Give me your comments and questions in the comment section. I'll do the best.